and thank you for joining us today at our ribbon cutting for our brand new Turnstyle. And we'd like to thank our community and special partners that we have here today for making this project possible. It all started several years ago with our new bleachers, and then followed up with our new track, and then our quest to make this gift back to the community so it could be used. And to add some words to that is our board member, Ayers Ratliff, joining us today as part of this dedication.
Yes, my name is Ayers Ratliff, and I would like to have a few words as far as from the Board of Education of the Wellington Exemplary Village School District. As we all know, the taxpayers and citizens of this community made this facility possible. The facility got down to not in very good shape, but if you see it today, you will know that it has changed a great deal, and our community deserves that. Our children deserve that. For instance, we could not have a track meet because we didn't have a track. So to have a track team and never be able to have a home track meet doesn't bode very well for the kids and how they feel about the situation. We now have it that we want to share this as much as possible and get as much use as we can with our entire community that help make this possible. And we're here today with our partners and people that have worked with us, and we're making it possible that the entire community can use this facility and our beautiful track that was put in with their tax dollars. So thank you, and we hope that everyone in our Wellington community get to use this facility, and will use it every chance they get. Thank you.
We are striving to come up with affordable and free opportunities for our citizens to live healthier through better eating, active living, and social emotional support. I didn't realize how new the track was at that time, and what I was asking of this school system to let the public on the track, because this is special. You haven't had one for so long, and to entrust the community with the care of that facility is very important to me. Anyone can come and enjoy it and benefit from it. So it took a little talking through things like the safety of the track itself. We really want to make sure our safety services know that people are going to be out here. So if anything happens, you know, yes, you can cut the chain and get in, even though you can't get a stretcher through the turnstile. So the turnstile is to keep us all, the track safe and us safe. And so Thrive had budgeted this project for a few years, and we're ready to pay for it. And then as a member of the Wellington Women's League, we support the schools quite a bit with these funds. Well, this year I asked for 3 different applications of money, and the Women's League put a healthy amount of money towards this project. And I want to thank myself, thank the Women's League for doing all that they do for our community. Because it takes, as you mentioned at one of our meetings, this is a collaborative effort. And the way to make Wellington better, Wellington's culture better, is by working together, and don't get stung by that wasp, yes. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for this partnership.
Thank you, Carol. Amy, anything from the Women's League?
Just as Carol said, I have headed the grant committee over the last couple of years, and it's amazing to be able to give away roughly $20,000 to community organizations such as, like Carol mentioned, the 3 that she did, this being one of our most recent grants. So it's just feels good to be able to do this.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Dialogue with the Dukes in the 2022-2023 season of these programs. I'm your host, Bill Berger, and today's show is being brought to you by the Patrician Lilly Center for the Performing Arts. Last year, you may remember that we spotlighted Thrive and their mission, the Mind, Body, Spirit project, for the entire Lorraine County, but specifically having to do with Wellington and the village of Wellington, as well as the school district. Today, the young lady to my immediate left should have no particular introduction, because she was involved in many of the episodes that we filmed last year. This is Carol Burke. She is the facilitator of Thrive. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you.
The first question we have for you, just as kind of a review for people who don't remember, or shall we say, are not familiar with Thrive, first time people watching, what is the mission of Thrive?
And it's amazing to me how many people do not know what Thrive is all about. Thrive Southern Lorraine County is a community collaborative. What's that? Well, we are a community collaborative of the United Way of Lorraine County, and there's 10 of us, 10 collaboratives, and we are one of 3 that deal with health. Our mission is to reduce metabolic syndrome in our residents, which means reducing obesity, heart disease, diabetes, stroke, all those chronic illnesses that we can help increase our odds of not getting them through healthy eating, active living, and social emotional support. So that's what we do.
Well, I believe you approached, this Turnstyle was not something that happened like that.
No.
I believe you approached the school district and Mr. Weber and the village and the football coaches and so on about putting a Turnstyle in more than 2 years ago. I guess my question is, why did you do it?
Well, I try to follow the lead of other community collaboratives. They've been around longer than Thrive has been. And I think it was 2019, they mentioned these user agreements between the schools and the community and different groups, and share these wonderful facilities that we have. So, and it was recommended that I contact this particular company because they had a Turnstyle that another community had purchased, and okay, I'll go. But I didn't realize how new the track was at the time, and I didn't have compassion for that. But when I did finally approach the superintendent and the school board and the athletic director, they were not excited. I'm so glad that we were part of Mr. Weber's plan for sharing this with the community. I was not aware of that. But they were hesitant because they want to protect what the taxpayers have paid for. And we don't want the public does not want to be responsible for hurting anything. So it took a lot of cajoling, and I think it was in 2020, I did get a proposal from a local company for making it, and then John Bowman, I believe, was the one who went and contacted various school districts in the league and found out that, yeah, other communities let their people walk the track, and with very, knock on wood, very little problems as far as vandalism or injury and such. So once they got on board with that, this is what other people are doing, it has moved rather quickly. It's been good.
Well, you mentioned the fact that it took you so long, more than 2 years, to actually get this Turnstyle in here and have the ribbon cutting that you had today. When you first approached them, if you could expound on, what was their reaction?
They were not excited to open up to the public, but I can feel their desire to keep the facility in good shape. But they're responsible. They're responsible, and so they don't want to make silly decisions, and I can have compassion for their thought process.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, this Turnstyle cost $4,839.73. A rather expensive venture, shall we say.
And it was cheaper the first time I proposed it, too.
Is that right?
Yes, it was. But
Well, one of the organizations that helped you so much was the Wellington Women's League.
Yes.
If you could tell us about the Wellington Women's League.
the Wellington Women's League has been around for, I'm not sure how many years, 20, 50, I'm not sure how many years it's been around. And most of the women of age have spent at least a couple years as members and making cheese sizzles. And they turn over all of their money, you know, once we pay for the cheese and the oil and all those other expenses, everything goes in a fund. And I've been on the committee to help select the applications that get approved. Back in the day, before COVID, when we had community meals at all the churches,
Sure.
those were sponsored or they contributed to the money that was necessary to put those meals on. And hopefully that will come back now that we're post-COVID and we're gathering together. So this past year, they helped pay for the Turnstyle. They contributed $800 to the Memory Cafe that we have in Wellington. They paid for some programming that came from Oberlin on meeting your loved one where they are, and then not ad living, but just going on where they're at instead of trying to bring them back to reality and having fun with them. The other thing was they contributed money to building our garden boxes. Our signature project is called Growing Nutrition, and they're elevated boxes. They're 30 inches off the ground for people who can no longer get down on their knees to garden. And so they gave us quite a bit of money this year, and I'm very thankful, and I'm not going to rely that they're going to do it again, but it sure helped out.
Well, we certainly learned in previous episodes, and you can look them up on Dialogue with the Dukes, the history about the Memory Cafe and what that's all about. Well, we'd like to thank Mrs. Carol Burke for sharing what she went through for over the last 2 years to get this Turnstyle in and make this a reality, because there's no doubt about the fact that walking or jogging on the track is much safer than the going through the city streets or the sidewalks around the village, because I can attest, as my wife can, you can get injured walking or jogging around the village because of these uneven streets and sidewalks. So once again, Carol, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. We'll be back with another episode, or excuse me, another subject with Mr. Ed Weber, the superintendent of the Wellington School District. We are back with Mr. Ed Weber, who should need no introduction as he is the superintendent of the Wellington School District. Welcome, Mr. Weber.
Thank you, Bill.
We're going to be talking a little bit now about, I hate to use the term Debbie Downer, but I want to talk a little bit about security, police presence, ambulance presence, and things like that. Should we say 2 weeks ago, Friday night, first football game, we had individuals, I hate to use the term children, but they were children who were unsupervised, running around underneath the stands, beside the stands, and we ended up with a situation where we had one of the children get hurt, which necessitated an ambulance showing up here to take care of the injured party. We certainly hope that we don't have any injuries or any medical things happening, but to make the parents in the village feel better, to make the people that are using the track feel better, what kind of supervision, what kind of security do we have for the people that are going to be jogging around the track, or anybody who might be playing children underneath the stands and so on while the track is open?
Well, I'd like to just start by saying my sympathy to anyone who ever gets injured when you're having students on a playground or at school or even at one of our football games. There's a lot of people, and accidents do happen. In this case, the student did get scratched and had some bleeding, and as a precaution, we had a safety squad check the student out, and they weren't transported at all. They just rinsed it and wrapped up the injury, and the child was okay. Now, they climbed our fence, which shouldn't be happening, but luckily for us, I guess, in one regard, we just removed the barbed wire around our facility. And we've had barbed wire issues to address, and we decided we weren't going to have barbed wire any longer. So in one regard, it could have been so much worse. At any event, we do have law enforcement present. We do have wellness or medical team present. We do have event workers that are here to help in those capacities, as long as some of our maintenance staff. Should we add a couple more security officers, we may do that. We generally take whatever we can get from auxiliary. But if you're a policeman or a police officer or nurse or a teacher even, it's hard to get staff. We will be better and do better is one of our mottos, so we will do a better job with that, and our apologies that happened.
Well, I believe, I read in the literature that's been passed out concerning the Turnstyle, that the Turnstyle will be open from dawn to dusk. I think that's
Right,
correct.
right.
But there's no way to lock that turnstile, am I correct?
Oh, yeah, there is.
There is?
Yes, there's
So
a
somebody's
built-in-
gonna, somebody's gonna lock up the
Our
turnstile?
maintenance team,
Ah.
it has a built-in locking system, and we may chain it. We chain all
Okay.
our other gates.
Right.
So once we do that,
Mhm.
I'll probably let the maintenance team decide, you want to chain it with the same key sequence, or do
Sure.
you want to use the internal system?
Oh, okay.
There are some upgrades to the turnstile that we can add in the future, such as a timing system. We may even put remote surveillance throughout the facility here as a future upgrades. So there'll be more features in regard to surveillance and identification of who is here
Right.
and when they're here.
Well, we certainly hope that there's no vandalism involved or anything like that, but we know that our athletic facilities in the past have been vandalized. Our field house was broken into a few years ago, and iPads were taken. We had our bell was vandalized, and even this year, fortunately, it didn't cause any damage, but we had rainbow flag put up where the American flag is supposed to be, and rainbow flags placed around the track. I know that the players and coaches were somewhat upset about that, but again, there was no vandalism involved, fortunately, in taking down the flags and so on. That's very easy. But if there is vandalism that takes place, because we have the track open and all of the facilities for the track and field people as well as football, if some vandalism happens, for lack of a better term, who pays for it?
Well, Bill, you know, inter-school rivalries have occurred for a long time.
That's true.
And the flag episode, this whole place was flooded with flags as one of our other best of friends did some spray painting inappropriately on our sidewalks by our schools.
Mhm.
And you know, we don't condone that. In fact, those things do make us angry. In any circumstance, same thing with the field trip. You want to take your kids on a field trip, but not all the kids listen every time. Some of the kids don't follow the teacher's instructions. And so the teachers think like, oh, well, should we take the kids on a field trip or should we not? But 90% of your kids are listening. They deserve that field trip. You know, 99% of our community follows every guideline. They're entitled to be here. The 1% that don't follow through, we should be able to track down who they are and hold them accountable. But to live in a free society, we want to be able to use this facility. We want to share it with the people who pay for it. So I understand that sometimes things do get vandalized, and we will fix them. Hopefully we'll be able to hold the person who did it accountable and have them repay it. But the rest of us deserve access to the facility, to have something nice, to work on some of the things Carol mentioned about living a healthier life. I think it's a risk worth taking, and our students rise to the occasion, as does our citizens.
Sure. Well, and there's no doubt about the fact that walking and or jogging on this track is much safer than being around or in the village and
Take
doing
a
the
lap
same.
today?
No, not today.
It's like walking on air out
Well,
there.
it is,
It's just
right?
a beautiful track. It's still in great shape. We do have a maintenance program for it and our facility here. Each investment we do make, we try to make as wise an investment as possible so it stays good for a long time. Is it all done here yet? No, it isn't. But we've been making steady improvement.
Well, we'd like to thank once again Mr. Ed Weber for coming and speaking to us maybe from the downside or possible downside of the situation, because this is nothing but positive. There's no doubt about that. And it's a good thing being able to get use of the track and for the entire village itself for maintaining that healthy lifestyle. We'll be back with another guest right after this.
Welcome to the Patrician Lilly Center for the Performing Arts. This wall shows how many people in the community supported the performing arts. This is where all actors will perform at. In the audience, you can enjoy anything performed here. This is the spotlight. There is 2 up in the control booth. This is the light board, and this is the soundboard. The control booth is where you will learn about technical theater, to make friends, and to have fun. The Performing Arts Center is where you will make your dream come true.
We are back. We hope that if you or your organization would like to present a program to the village and get widest dissemination, we hope you will consider using the Patrician Lilly Center for the Performing Arts for your program. Our third guest to my immediate left is Miss Christine Matusik-Plus. She is the United Way of Greater Lorraine County's Community Impact Director. Long title. I hope you get lots of money for that. My first question to you, this is specifically having to do with Lorraine County. How are you actually connected to Thrive?
I am a member of Thrive myself, as a person who lives.
As we can see by your green shirt.
From my green shirt and also my United Way logo there. As a person who lives south of Route 20 myself, I believe in the southern part of the county has just as much right to the funds that we raise as United Way of Greater Lorraine County. 50% of the geographic area is down here, right? And there are just as much need and interest for healthy living activities as there is elsewhere in Lorraine County. So I am part of Thrive myself. I was present the first day they met.
Well, I believe that Thrive has been going on here. This is their 6th anniversary, I believe, this year. United Way actually funds Thrive, but how in other ways do you support Thrive here in southern Lorraine County?
Well, first, besides the funding, we try to promote all of the activities, the Facebook posts, the social media, the articles that are presented in the community about healthy living, certainly the students' own work on the school social media. We repost all of that so that folks beyond just this own neighborhood hears all these great messages. We attend ourselves the activities because many of our staff at United Way live in this part of the county. And then, of course, we provide the funds through our fundraising. The vast majority of the funds that Thrive receives from United Way are donor designations that come from businesses, that come from other kinds of fundraising activities. So it really is a local people supporting the local events.
Well, once again, we'd like to put in another plug for Carol Burke. She was the one who had made all of this happen, shall we say, or she was the one that actually was the impetus to getting people able to get onto the track in a safe situation. So why was Thrive's initiative so important to Lorraine County and specifically to the village of Wellington?
So I think we are a real big believer at United Way in this idea that Ed mentioned and that Carol expanded upon that. The voters paid for this facility and they ought to be able to share in its use within parameters that keep everybody safe and keep the facility safe. So United Way has been part of many of these agreements throughout other parts of the county where other school districts and other public facilities are being shared through shared use agreements. And when Carol started talking about this, we thought, wow, there are great models in other communities that we could learn from and see if we could put that into place here. But the school district has been an amazing partner, and it's not just through the Turnstyle project, but in many other activities, like the bubblers, so that students, faculty, and staff can fill their water bottles throughout the day, throughout the school day. Just really great ideas about keeping all folks in this community on that path to wellness. So this is just one other really cool idea. I personally will be walking on this path. It's way better than mine.
That's good. Well, once again, we'd like to thank Christine Matusik-Plus for coming to talk with us and being someone from outside the village of Wellington, specifically having to do with Lorraine County and how Lorraine County supports the village of Wellington and obviously specifically in this particular project. So once again, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about the situation and what has actually happened within Lorraine County and the village of Wellington. We'll be back again very soon with another episode of Dialogue.